Hello. Been doing a series on the Cornucopia. Now I'm going to take it away from the Greco Roman, the European sphere of influence up to the modern day Australia, Canada, America, but back to the Greco Roman period and have a look at something called Greco Buddhist architecture and how it spreads across the world. And so there we have the Cornucopia, and that's the river god it's connected to. And I chose this river, the river Tiber in Rome, Tibernus, and he's shown here holding the Cornucopia. So this is a Roman sculpture, but some Greek pottery. So we see Hades and Demeter, or Pluto and Ceres, as they're called in Rome. And there's some interesting links. I'll drop the link in the description in regards to the importance of Pluto amongst. There's some Mason blogs where they talk about the connection between the Cornucopia and how they hold it in special connection to Pluto or Hades, but that's a longer topic, so I'll just leave that link in the description. I won't cover that because it's anyway, there'll be a mammoth on its own. But the Cornucopia, the Horn of Plenty, connected to Zeus, Fortuna, Athena, Hades, Demeter, but also to Heracles or Hercules. Now this is a coin from the 130 AD approx. So there we see Heracles. This is from Bactria, which is basically modern day Afghanistan. Heracles on one side and the Cornucopia on the other. That's relevant because one of the stories in regards to the origin of a Cornucopia is Heracles / Hercules wrestling the river monster Achelous and breaking off his horn. So there's one depiction on pottery, and we also see another. And it's also like even Roman emperors would wear the lion's like the skin of a lion on their head and carry the club. That's a reference also to Hercules or Heracles. But again, this is another depiction of him battling the river monster and breaking off the horn. So one of the alternate origins of the Cornucopia story. But now we need to look. So we have the Roman Empire, or let's call that the Greco-Roman sphere of influence, and Parthia, and an empire you probably haven't heard of, very important one, quite large and long-lasting, was the Kushan Empire, which has its origins, again, older origins. So again, but if you're interested, so up from northern China, but they apparently did a migration, and that was the Kushan Empire, which would now encompass Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan area, and this is a clearer map. So again, we get an idea of the Kushan Empire at it's sort of the borders, moved, but that's basically the heart of the Kushan Empire, which made it a crossroads between the West, India, and then on to China. So you get especially for the Silk Road, which was emerging at that time. So much silk was available in Rome, actually brought in a Chinese silk, which was moved. So much was in the Roman Empire that they actually brought in a special law. So the trade across the world from Eastern Asia to the western part of Europe and North Africa was quite strong going back at that time. There's actually a lot of evidence to say it was going back way, way further. So the Kushan Empire and Bactria. So again, this brings the coin from Bactria, Afghanistan, and with Heracles and the Cornucopia. And so the mingling of, beginning with Alexander, we saw there was a change in, especially around India, Pakistan, current area, in their art forms and the way, and even the way that their temples were made. And so just as an idea, so Bactria is roughly around here, roughly modern day Afghanistan. And before we go there, back to Athens and the Temple of Olympian Zeus. This is the first true Corinthian temple, as in Doric, Ionic, Corinthian. And there we get an idea of what a Corinthian column looks like. However, Greco-Buddhist, so there's Buddha in the middle of this column capital with Corinthian architecture. There's another one, again, how Greek architectural forms and styles of their sculpture. So for instance, Greek sculpture was particularly lifelike. It was an important part of history, and we see this movement to other parts of the world, but again over towards the east. Here's another example of Buddha in the center of the Corinthian column capital, and that's very, very important, and eventually I'll get around to it Rockman, I know you want to see it, and I'll get to there, but it's a big story, the campus. Even noticed anyway, but yeah, okay, it's written out of history, but we'll get to that. I'm not going to change that. But okay, so Sir Cap Temple, roughly 2nd century BC. Well, this is very reminiscent of the Gandhara gates and these temple forms. But what's most interesting is the Corinthian capital, as we see there, or colonnades, but there we see that same form moving. Now here's another interesting one, and this is also from Gandhara. And did I show where Gandhara was? Okay, so anyway, Bactria and Gandhara was here. If you've never shown monkey magic in Gandhara, they say it was in India. So in Sun Wukong, the monkey and Tripitaka, they were headed towards Gandhara to retrieve some sacred texts, which is a very Chinese story. So again, East Asia through the subcontinent, the Silk Road area, through to the west. And Sir Cap Temple. Now, what do we have here? Well, a Corinthian column. Well, who's this gentleman? It's Atlas holding up the world. Once more of a reference, the influence of Greek sculpture, architecture through the rest of, across from Europe through to Asia and or everywhere in between. But okay, Gandhara. What else do we have in Gandhara? Hariti, I'm not sure of the pronunciation, and Pansika or Pankika, I'm not sure again the pronunciation. But Gandhara, over here in northern Pakistan area, Cornucopia, and Cornucopia. Even, yeah. So again, this is also an example of how in the East, this style of architecture, the Greek style, more lifelike style of architecture, influenced other parts of the world. So Cornucopia, Corinthian columns, all these very Masonic as well. So again, I'm not anti-Mason. It's, you look up, yeah, it's lovely stuff, and it's a shame because this stuff gets sort of demonized. Therefore, if you look into it, you're getting satanic or whatever. No, this is a part of a ancient tradition which crosses the world. Now, while I'm here, give me a moment, pause for a sec. Okay, Rudyard Kipling. If you look up if the poem by Rudyard Kipling, one of the best of all time. He's done some interesting, also quotes like The Jungle Book was by Rudyard Kipling, very important writer. Some really nice quotes. If history were taught in the form of stories, it would never be forgotten. Why do I bring up Rudyard Kipling? Also, well, because The Man Who Would Be King, one of his stories as well, immortalized in a great movie starring Michael Caine and Sean Connery. And it's a tale of two scallywags, basically, who go to Kafiristan. It's an actual place. If you look up Kafiristan, it's up there in the Himalayas. Very interesting place with in Afghanistan, with a very ancient form of Hindu religion still going on there. It's not Kafiristan. Now, in the movie, awesome movie, but lots of, including the king's head, but lots of Masonic symbols throughout the movie. They are Masons themselves in the movie. They steal a watch from Rudyard Kipling. They realize, oh no, he's a fellow brother, and then they go to return it. But anyway, when they get to Kafiristan in this religion, they find they're about to be killed, and they're about to be stabbed in the chest, and this priest rips his shirt open and he sees the Masonic emblem in there, and then he talks about the son of Alexander. And so again, without going into the whole story of the movie and ruining it, but it's a great movie. If you can, please do watch it. And just, yeah, the symbolism throughout that movie, and the king's head as well, but that's a separate story. But why I brought that up, because all of those connections to that area as suggested by this story. But now if we go to Sanchi Stupa, and okay, Sanchi Stupa, basically in the center of India. I've done a video. I'll try to remember to put the links because this stupa connects to the Parthenon and the Great Pyramid through measure systems and proportions. Yeah, Parthenon, Great Pyramid, Sanchi Stupa, again, this transmission of knowledge even in a beautiful mathematical form, and the measures that are connected through there. But Sanchi Stupa is almost also interesting because it shows these traces of this Greco-Buddhist and the influence even on Hindu architecture. But this is in the carving there, and it shows the opening of the stupa. And there we see like the Tirana, or the gateway, which I showed in Surcap, and again but the figures around here, well, that's interesting because it shows foreign, not only with the Phrygian cap, but also the instruments, and even the sculpture itself commemorates the foreign visitors who come to celebrate the opening of this particular stupa, and the gate. And also, so we have depicted in and around, because it's a complex, but we also have griffins and griffonics. And there's a griffin, which is the winged lion, but with the bird's head, which is separate from the griffonic. So this is in Sydney, and that's a griffonic. That's the lion's head, and it's a female with the wings. And again in Sydney, Grace Brothers, where we see the building where, well, it's a true griffin form there. State Library of New South Wales, which features Ionic, Doric and Corinthian, beautiful Corinthian columns in there, but also we have griffins and griffonics. So they're from Sanchi Stupa, where we see how in this Roman form, or Greco Roman form, the griffonic, but we also have true griffins, as we see there, with the acanthus scrolling coming out from them, no less. Temple of Antoninus and Faustina in Rome, important temple, but well, we see this. So these are from the Roman temple with the griffins, but also this lantern with acanthus once again, acanthus and Corinthian capitals, and well, again this transmission. Well, that's again back to Surcap. So the columns, Atlas, the Corinthian columns, Atlas and the Cornucopia, and this transmission of information again. The way we're taught these things are all sort of separate. Well, they're not. Weights and measure systems as well. Now this is going back to 2,000 years, give or take a few centuries either way. However, this does extend way, way back, at least to Mohenjo-Daro, Old Kingdom, Egypt, and Sumer and Babylon. As I will get there. I promise you, I will get there. Especially through weights and measures. Now I'm dealing, because these symbols and the legends and the stories are well written, so this cannot really be, disputed. However, through the measure systems, we'll join these apparently separate, independently emergent ancient civilizations through these same systems, and these trade routes and trade weights and measures are being the key. That's, you can argue the definitions of stories, and as legends get transmitted, names get changed, it's easy to argue the meaning, and well, when it comes to weights and measures, you can't argue that, and we will get there. And so, yep, Cornucopia. I'm going to leave this. I'll put the link in the description to the Sanchi Stupa series, because it brings in the Great Pyramid and the Parthenon, and I'll put in a link to the Masonic site talking about the importance of the Cornucopia to Hades/Pluto. So Cornucopia, Hades, and Demeter. Now she's more often Demeter or Ceres, as in cereal. That's where it comes from. Is the also connected to the Cornucopia. But anyway, with that, hope you enjoyed and have a good one.